everybody, it's Sue Scott of the Back 10 Feet, but today I'm here on Adventurous Kids, and we're actually here at All Native Garden Center, and I hope you'll take a look behind me, because what's really cool about All Native Garden Center is many years ago John started planting Florida native plants right in his own Back 10 Feet. What's really important here, no pesticides, no fertilizers, and these plants are doing just great. All they got was some mulch, and they are on their own. And take a look. Take a look. Let's show these people some of the beautiful plants we have here. We've got silver buttonwood. We've got Simpson stopper and firebush. All these plants. And look at the coral bean in bloom. The bright pink flowers. Aren't they gorgeous? Right over there to your left. Just beautiful. And what's really cool is these plants know what to do. We don't have to do anything. They do it for us. Wherever you live, no matter where you live, from Alaska to Florida, from California to Connecticut, you can do a Back 10 Feet. You can do an all-native garden. You can do a butterfly garden. You can do something to make a difference. And as adventurous kids, you can really make a difference by making sure your parents do better. Remember, no chemicals in the garden. You don't need them. All right, let's talk about butterfly gardening for a moment, because it's something that everybody's interested in. But what many people don't realize is you need more than just nectar plants. You need larval plants. In other words, a place for the butterfly to lay their eggs, so those little hungry caterpillars can munch on leaves and grow into butterflies eventually. And it's okay. It's okay for your plants to get eaten. That's the whole point. What's great about this Florida native, Bahama cassia, is that it's both. It's a nectar plant and a larval plant. And what's even cooler is when caterpillars are raised on the leaves, they're green, and if they munch on the flowers, they're yellow. This is a great grass to recommend to your parents to put into your garden. Why grasses? Well, number one, they're soft and they move in the wind. They add a certain gentleness to the landscape and can soften a lot of hardscape where there's a lot of cement. The other thing is little critters like to hide out in these places, so it provides a habitat. And in the fall, something like this muley grass gets beautiful, gorgeous pink plumes of seeds called a fluorescence that is absolutely gorgeous. All right, let's talk another great plant to put in your Florida landscape. This is Phila nodiflora, also known as turkey fruit, fog fruit. I just call it creeping Charlie. These little tiny flowers, see how tiny they are compared to my hand? Butterflies love these. The other great part about this plant, alternative to turf grass, requires no additional care, and 3 native species of butterfly lay their eggs on this one. Let's see, the Phaon crescent, the white peacock, and the buckeye. This plant is called bee balm, and it smells so good. It gets beautiful bracts or leaves that are colored that are absolutely gorgeous and purple. This is a great pollinator plant. It's important that we talk about more than just butterflies. I know they're beautiful, but all pollinators, all insects are important, and we want to help all of them. And if you really want to help bees and native bees, you need to put some bee balm in your garden. All right, let's talk about something pretty, tropical sage or salvia. Look at these flowers. These are attractive also to hummingbirds if you're lucky enough to have some in your area. When the flowers dry out, they become seeds. And all these become seed heads. They readily reseed in the garden. They smell good, they look good, they last a long time. And look at this. Isn't this beautiful? You gotta add some tropical sage to your garden. All right, let's talk about beach morning glory. If you live in a place that's very dry, this is truly a beach plant. It grows on beaches. It helps stabilize shorelines. It's an ipomoea, much like railroad vine, but look at these beautiful white flowers. Aren't they gorgeous? They last a day, but it's just a beautiful plant, can survive in almost any kind of conditions here in Florida, except wet. Let's talk for a moment about blue porterweed. It's very important to get the native. The native has a very pale blue flower, light green leaves, and only gets about 3 feet tall, and it gets really wide and bushy. If you have a plant that looks kind of like this, but it's this tall and very dark, it's African. It is not native. So please take it out and make sure you put in the native. The butterflies love these tiny flowers. This is good stuff. For those of you who have wet areas, and lots of Florida is supposed to be wet, we have here cypress trees and Walter's viburnum. What's very cool about the Walters viburnum is it's a shrub that will get, at least 12 to 15 feet tall, at least 10 feet wide, covered in beautiful white flowers in the winter. So it's a beautiful plant, loves those wet areas in your property. Can go dry in the, in the winter, it's okay, but really loves wet, as does this beautiful, beautiful cypress tree. It's important when buying mulch not to buy mulch made of cypress trees. These are native trees, and look, they're starting to leaf out. Look how delicate these leaves are. Aren't they beautiful? So if you have wet areas in your property, no worries. There's a native plant that works for you. All right, one more plant that can take the wetness and go dry is wax myrtle. Now these shrubs will eventually get up to 20 feet tall and at least 10 to 15 feet wide. It's a small tree actually. It has beautiful berries, bayberries. They used to make candles from them. But those berries are almost the sole food source for our yellow-rumped warblers when they come to Florida. So this is another great plant you can put in your yard and help save the birds. All right, this is a plant that is one of my favorites. It's a shrub. It's called Simpson Stopper. And look, it's getting ready to bloom. See these little buds? These are going to turn into hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of little white flowers. And these little tiny white flowers are attractive to bees, and native bees, honeybees, to insects like butterflies. And it produces a beautiful orange fruit that the birds like. So it's a plant that does double duty. It's a pollinator plant, it's a sheltering plant, triple duty, and it's great food for birds. It's also a beautiful shrub, doesn't need a lot of care. What's not to love about Simpson Stopper? Wild lime, and look, this one. Look what we've got here, getting ready to bloom. Isn't it? It's spring. It's spring in Florida. What can you say? Everything's blooming. Everything's getting ready to bloom or fruit. What's neat about wild lime, number one, it has prickles on it, or little thorns, so that'll keep the neighbor's cat, the neighbor's kids, and the neighbor's dog out of your yard. So it's great for that, but it's also a larval host plant for the giant swallowtail, which is a gorgeous butterfly. It doesn't produce a fruit that we can eat, but that's okay. It's for the birds and it's for the butterflies after all. Great plant to put in your backyard where you don't want people coming through, and it's just beautiful. Now we get to show you some wildlife. This is the caterpillar of the gold rim swallowtail, Polydamas butterfly. And he is munching on a pipe vine, and this is the flower. And here, let's show you what the flower turns into. Isn't that gorgeous? And then look how big some of these leaves get. Look at compared to the size of my hand. But this little guy would have started out as a very teeny tiny caterpillar long ago at the tip where the flowers are small, and typically they hang out in groups too. You'll see 3 or 4 or 5 of them. But isn't he beautiful? He is absolutely gorgeous. And he deserves to live every bit as much as you and I do. He's important, just like you and I are. He is no less important and no less deserving of life than anybody else. So in the garden, if you really want to help butterflies, it's important to help caterpillars too. All right, another beautiful plant blooming for us today is elderberry, which you can make wine out of. It has a beautiful berry that humans can eat. And look how gorgeous these flowers are. And look, it just gets loaded with all these flowering areas like this, these big pads of beautiful white blooms, and it loves wet, moist places too. So it's a beautiful plant that actually produces a food that humans can use. Wherever you go, you can find native plants that are good for you, good for your garden, and good for the planet. So thanks for watching this episode of Adventurous Kids, our 40th episode. We hope you'll keep watching as they start learning more and more about the natural world and learn how to help save our planet. Thanks for watching.